Grab a warm drink. Get ready to take notes. We're sharing practical tips from our viewers on ways to save on natural gas and electric costs this winter. Hi, I'm Hope.
And I'm Larry.
From Under the Median. Every week on this channel, we focus on practical frugality. During the month of January, we are focusing on ways to save, specifically in those areas which have been hard hit by rising prices because of the inflationary rate that happened in 2021. So basically, we're calling this the kitchen sink of frugality because we're throwing everything at you so that you have an arsenal, so to speak, of ways that you can save, and you can pick and choose the ones that work best for you.
A week ago, we came out with a video that had 25 of our tips on how to save money and how to cope with the inflationary issues. And we asked our viewers if they might submit some of theirs. And we kind of wanted to get 25 more, but we didn't get 25 more. No, we didn't. We got 45.
Yes, y'all are amazing. So we are going to share 45 of the best tips and strategies for lowering your utility costs this winter. And these are courtesy of our Under the Median viewers. Let's get started.
Catherine Herrera gave us a multitude of strategies to share. So here are some of her strategies. After baking, leave the oven door open if there's no small children present, and of course that will add some heat into your kitchen. Another one is make sure that your freezer is full. If not with food, then with containers. The less air and space to cool, the better.
Catherine also advises us, this was a really smart idea, that carpets on wood and tile floors actually give the illusion of warmth. So rather than stepping on that cold tile, you're stepping on a warmer rug or on carpet, and you will actually feel warmer.
My experience is that on bare feet, it's more than an illusion.
It's just cold.
It's very helpful to have carpeting on the floor. We have a tiled floor in our bathroom down here in the basement, and it is cold. I make sure there's a rug under there when I'm getting out of the hot shower.
I thought Catherine also had another great idea when she said, make sure that closets are closed when the heat is on. Why would you waste electricity heating a closet? I'm like, ooh, great idea.
I never would have
thought
of that.
Less square footage to heat.
Yeah, that's a good tip, and we'll start doing that. If you don't use a fireplace, then close off the chimney. Now, you can either close off the flue, or you can get chimney covers that cap them off at the top. But that is a source where you're losing a lot of heat.
And finally, she also says, Catherine said, have a plan before you open that fridge, because every time you open that fridge, you're spending more in electricity.
And I got to say, it helps if your fridge is organized, so you know where the item is in the refrigerator that you're going for. So all you have to do is open the door and nail it. Oh, use flannel sheets on your beds to keep your bed warmer. We do this. In fact, I just bought a set for the basement couch.
I know that was Catherine's final tip, and I thought, actually several people sent that tip in, and I thought, I cannot believe we did not think of it for the first video, because we actually use flannel sheets, and they make a huge difference.
They really do.
Jenny says, one thing our family does to keep energy bills down in the winter is by simply throwing an electric blanket over our laps whenever we're sitting in a room. We just wrap ourselves in a layer of warmth without heating the whole room. We talked about electric blankets, y'all, and we showed you our favorite electric blanket in that first video. But here is the additional stuff that Jenny added that I absolutely loved. Here's what she noted about electric blankets. In terms of energy use, an electric blanket will draw between 1/8 to 1/2 the energy of a space heater, depending on the wattage of both, making it efficient and cozy to use as a heating source. Jenny, I love that you did the math, and that's why I put that tip in there.
That's a great tip. You know, we found out, I actually measured our electric blankets. We have 2 of them. They only use about 100 watts of power, and they're not on all the time. They cycle on and off. A space heater can use anywhere from 900 to 1200 watts. Even some of them, we have one in the bathroom that uses 1600 watts. Now, it's not on very long, but that's a lot of power. So an electric blanket will save you a lot of money in your heating costs.
Now, if you want to know how we know exactly how much energy each of our small appliances is using, we're going to remind you before we move on to the next tip in this program. We have a kilowatt meter. We highly recommend owning one. We use ours. It does a great job of measuring the electric usage of any appliance over time, and it's really helpful in helping you figure out which appliances you're going to use and how often you're going to use them and exactly what it's going to cost you as far as energy is concerned. The next tip, a viewer suggested.
Yes, he suggests that you take very quick showers and to wash as quickly as possible and not to waste hot water. You know, I've been doing this for years. I don't like taking a long shower. I get in, rinse, soap, rinse, and I'm out. It usually takes me about 5 minutes. I'm all done.
Oh, yeah, that's me too.
Uh-uh.
Ayala, moving on, Ayala says, we limit our family to using the side door in winter. Why? Because it's in a stairwell with a door that shuts it off from the main levels. When we were using the front door, that front door was close to her thermostat and constantly triggering the furnace to come on. Smart idea.
What a great idea. Bob from Bobville says,
Love his
so
name.
I think that's just his name. I don't know. Is there a Bobville anywhere?
I don't know.
I don't
Bob,
think that's a real.
We like your name. Bob from Bobville says.
Yeah, I don't think he's got a town named after him, but I like that name. It's cute. He says, so I did notice a breeze coming through your outlets along the external walls on our sunroom that we recently finished. I got some baby plug covers to eliminate the draft, and it seems to be helping. So we mentioned something about a styrofoam piece that goes into that outlet underneath the cover. But if you just simply put those baby plugs in the outlets, that'll stop the air from coming through the open places where the outlets are. So that's a great tip. Patrick Lamb suggests getting a heating vest from Amazon. Now, I have heard of these. When I was doing research for Hope's heated socks, I found the heated vests too. But he says he would highly recommend those. And we'll put a link in there in our descriptions if you're interested in looking at that item.
Caroline says, instead of turning the heat up, I turn on a space heater when taking a shower. And we do this too.
I do that. Yeah. I have a space heater in the bathroom. I just mentioned it, the 1600 watt. It's actually one from the 1970s, but I just use it to heat up a very small room for a short time while I'm getting the shower. I don't like being cold. Just don't like it.
David gave us a couple of ideas. A way to keep warm, moisturize. Applying a moisturizer like lotion will help insulate your body. Did not even know that. Also, David says, just wear a head covering in the house. It's okay to wear a head covering even though you are in your house because you lose so much of the heat out the top of your head. Just put a hat on and then that helps keep your body warm and retain your body's heat. He's absolutely right.
I think you'll lose about 70% of your heat from your head. Now, I think I only lose maybe 60%.
All right. What does Coetta say?
She says, I have blinds behind my curtains, and I put a small whatnot on the windowsill and push the curtain and blind back with it. It holds more cold air out. What's a whatnot?
It's like a shelf that you put little trinkets on. And so basically she's saying, have a blind behind your curtain and use something to push them up against the window in order to seal
to hold it up, to seal it better. Okay. Kayla Lee Daly says, hot water bottles. Use water for cooking like boiling an egg and pour that used water straight into the bottle. When it goes cold, either reheat the water in a saucepan or use it to do dishes, water plants, or hand wash clothing.
Love it. She also says ceramic tiles. Choose any cheap ceramic tile like at a DIY tile place. Pop them in the oven alongside the food you're cooking. When you're done, wrap them in a tea towel and warm the bed with them.
Oh, that's like the old-fashioned bed warmers that they used to use. They used to put hot coals in a ceramic little device. And my mom and dad used those on the old farmhouses they grew up in. They did not have heat in their bedrooms.
Heating.
None. Yeah. Absolutely no heat in their bedrooms.
Do any of the rest of you have no central heating? We would love to know whether that's you or not.
Yeah.
All right. So Kayla Lee also says drying well-spun washing indoors on a rack. So keep keep the washing in the same room you spend your day in and allow them to dry naturally because it adds humidity, adds moisture to the air, and it makes the air seem warmer. All right.
Wow, that is a great tip. I like that one.
All right.
Heavy blankets for the settee, car, and bed. Anywhere you go, have a heavy blanket ready. Yeah, it doesn't have to be an electric blanket. You can use a heavy quilt or a comforter. Anything like that to cover up with is good. Save you money.
Okay, here's the next one. Plant pot room chafers. All right, never heard of this. Tell us in the comments whether you have and whether you've used it and whether it works. So she gives an idea. Tea light powered heaters you can make from a terracotta plant pot, terracotta plant plate, and a tin can with the top and bottom removed. So basically you're going to create a mini heater using common, everyday, inexpensive objects. And she said they heat the room sufficiently on autumnal or spring days. They make scenting the room easy. You can just add some essential oils directly to the pot. These chafers were Anderson Shelter essentials in the UK during World War II.
Wow.
Who knew? I think that's a great idea.
I've never heard of that
looked
one.
it up. I looked it up. It's a real thing, and a lot of people have suggested doing it.
Okay. Heating a small area and creating microclimates. The easiest way to do this is to heat one room, which you can stay in most of the day. But most people maybe will put up a tent in a room or a blanket fort. The idea is to maximize whatever heat you have, including body heat, to a small area. If some of these tips sound familiar, it's because we incorporated some of them into a video that we did on winter preparedness. And we'll leave a link in the description of this video for that one if you're interested in looking at it.
One way to stay warm is by simply eating and drinking hot food. Now, when it comes to keeping warm liquids warm, we've mentioned this before. We're going to show it to you again. This is our favorite, guys. This thermos will literally keep liquids piping hot for 10 hours after they are put in here. We're going to link to this. It's Zeroshi, and we'll put a link to it in the description of the video. Oh my gosh, we keep buying more of them.
Oh yeah, it gets daily use too. We use it all the time. In fact, we just emptied the coffee out of this just a few minutes ago. Yeah, here it is right here, piping hot. See that steam coming off of there?
All right. And did you know that you can actually turn your stove off about 10 minutes before the end of any recipe, and that recipe will finish cooking in the residual heat? It will cost you $0 for the last 10 minutes of cooking time.
You know, I'm going to throw one in that's related to this. We have a kerosene heater. We've talked about it on many videos. It's an old one. It's actually from 1982, but it's got a flat top on it, and it's actually made for cooking on.
Yep.
So I'll warm up the family room in the morning when I come down here to have my breakfast. I'll actually make the breakfast oatmeal on top of that, so I'm not using natural gas out of our stove, and I'm using the kerosene heater instead. So now it's serving two purposes. It's heating the room, taking the chill off, and cooking our oatmeal. Rachel Wickert says, put blankets on doorways without doors, like between the kitchen and the dining room. And that is a great tip. One way you can do that is using a shower curtain across the opening. If you don't have any way of hooking a blanket up, just get a shower curtain and drape it over that.
Carrie says a few years ago, she had her energy company come in and do an energy audit. It was absolutely free. They came out, tested for leaks. They told her what was most energy efficient in her home. They made a list of priorities, and the items that she did on that list, they paid up to 50% of the improvements that she did, up to $1,500. But not only that, they gave her a water heater blanket, outlet insulators, energy efficient light bulbs, and pipe insulation jackets for the water lines. Those were free and came with the deal. She said it was a really good deal. We had this done a few years ago as well, and we qualified for low low or moderate income families. It was absolutely free. And they were the ones that put the insulation in our attic, and it was absolutely free to us.
And speaking of utility company, Amy says our electric company has different rates at different times. We try to plan accordingly for what our needs are. And that's a good idea. You might also check with your company. And they may have a separate program you can sign up to in order to take advantage of that. We have that on ours. And so we try to do our laundry on days where they're not driving the prices up real high or not at peak times. You want to get off of the peak times when you're using things that you can have some control over.
So tell us in the comments section, does your energy company have an offer like this where it's less expensive for energy during certain times of the day or maybe on the weekends? And if they do you take advantage of that offer?
Wealthy in Time says, when you get your furnace cleaned each year, get the repairman to check the thermostat to make sure that it's operating correctly. You want to make sure that the continuity or all the connections in the thermostat are making the proper connections. So she says, they turned on my heat in my apartment on September 1st last year, and it would not shut off. I reported it, and within a day or two, I had no heat. The wire from the thermostat to the zone valve on the radiator had lost all continuity, and the furnace repairman discovered this and said it was likely that this was going on for years. So that would definitely cost a lot of money if your systems are not operating properly.
Super helpful tip. That was from Wealthy in Time 1. Eileen says that she buys fleece or flannel pillowcases at the thrift store to make draft dodgers for the doors. The pillowcases usually cost her between 99 cents and $1.99 depending on the store and the pillowcase size. Also, the pillowcases, sheets, blankets, and towels are great for camping. Love it. What a great idea. Laura says, the biggest deal for me, putting in full house insulation. It cut my gas bills. Get ready, guys. This deserves a drum roll. Cut her bills by over 50%.
That's really worth it. Definitely worth the cost. She's going to save some big time money and pay back the amount that she spent on that insulation. Deborah Lovett says, I have a heated mattress pad on my bed and I love it.
Several people suggested that.
Yeah, that's something you can do instead of an electric blanket. Heating pad, that goes underneath. And that, of course, we know hot air rises. So that's a very efficient way of heating up your bed.
Stein Johansson is one of our overseas viewers in Norway. And Stein says, we love wool. We heard this from several people who live overseas, both for summer and winter. For me, it has to be 100% wool. All right. Stein likes to wear a thin tank top made of alpaca wool or lamb wool and then layer other clothes over it, and said that layering effect and putting that wool next to your core, that's the gold standard. That is the key to actually using wool and staying super duper warm. Stein also says, got to have that hot water bottle for the bed before Stein goes to sleep. And said that, you know what, you can also just take a can and heat it up in some water and then roll that can in some towels and use that as a makeshift way to have a foot warmer in bed if you don't have a hot water bottle.
Well, we have a combined effort from Nature Nut and Bree A. I made myself a 5-pound rice sack that I warm up in the microwave and keep under the covers at night or on my lap while I sit in the couch in the evening. Now, Bree A gives us some instructions for a popcorn or rice warmer bag. She says, I am a fan of popcorn warmer bags. You can use rice. You know, I would think popcorn might be really interesting in the
No, she
microwave.
said it doesn't pop. She said it does not pop. Yep.
Oh, I could just see that becoming a kind of...
Now, you can make them like this, but Bree's going to tell you how to make one super duper fast using a pair of old athletic socks.
And this is a no-sew project, so it would be right up Hope's alley.
Yes, it would be.
She says, place 2 to 3 cups of popcorn in a long cotton athletic sock, tie it off, cover the filled sock with another sock or a sweatshirt pillowcase. Heat it by 2 minutes, full power in the microwave. The popcorn will not pop. It will be quite warm. Handle with care. You will be warm for a couple of hours, and it smells delicious. I put 3 in my bed under the covers, 1 by the feet, 1 behind me, and 1 in front of me. This has really made a big difference in my night comfort level. Warms up the bed, and doesn't matter what the temperature is in the room. It's warm under the covers. You know, I do have a little concern with this, though. I'm afraid when I went to sleep, I would wake up eating that bag because it smelled like popcorn.
All right. So tell us, do you guys have any of these? Have you made some? Because I bought 3 or 4 of these, but they are super duper easy to make. And I use them a lot, like when the kids had tummy aches and stuff when they were younger. But she's absolutely right. These would be perfect for bed warmers in the evening, and making them out of athletic socks. Really quick and easy.
Yeah, Hope used them like a heating pad.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
They can be used for so many different things, actually.
Jenny G says, if you're going to make those draft dodgers for the bottom of the door, those big long things you put in front of the door, we talked about it on the first video. We'll make sure there's a link to that first video we did with 25 tips for lowering your winter utility bills. We'll make sure there's a link to it in the description of this video. We talked about them in that video, and she said, you know what? Just make them out of old pantyhose, because that's the quick, easy way to do it and doesn't cost you a penny. She said that you can also buy, tell us if you know about this, we do not, reflection roll of tape to put behind radiators to reflect the heat back into the room instead of toward the wall. And she said she made her own with an old piece of cardboard box and some tin aluminum foil. Love it. What a great idea. Radiator heat is not super duper popular here in the States, but I know overseas it really is.
It was, in the last century, it was very popular to have.
In older homes, you still find radiator heat.
To have hot water radiator heat. But no, not so much now. Most of it's forced air, natural gas heat.
Radiator heat is very, very
efficient.
Warm.
It's efficient.
Very efficient. Yeah, my grandmother lived in an apartment. They had radiator heat, and it was very, very warm in there. Mm-hmm. All right, Marianne said her parents had window shutters to cover the windows. Once again, really popular in certain areas of the United States and not so much in others. Do you have shutters on your house? It's a great way to keep the cold out and the heat in.
Teresa Hassel says an on-demand hot water heater is a great investment. And we had some friends of ours show us theirs. It's just a little small, kind of a rectangular metal unit that mounts to a wall. And it's literally what it says, on demand. So you're not heating up 40 gallons of water, which is being stored in a big tank. It heats it up very quickly, and you're not running an awful lot of natural gas or heating costs to keep that item going.
Yep, we really would like to know, do you have an on-demand hot water heater? How's it working for you? And did you find that it lowered your water cost, and did it lower your utility bills? We'd love to know. Mark Sugarman says, one thing that he did not hear us mention so far, and he's right, is the importance of having your furnace professionally serviced yearly to make sure that it's functioning at peak performance. It also serves to better your relationship with the company, who will more and less be likely to prioritize you if you ever need them in an emergency. A little bit of money spent now, a lot of money saved in the future. And Mark is right. A lot of times when you sign those yearly contracts, it actually comes with the option for you to automatically get a deduction of, say, 10 or 15 or even 20% on any bills that are accrued throughout the year on repair bills.
And we do this. We do have a furnace repairman come in actually twice a year, in the fall and in the spring. He looks at it for air conditioning in the spring, and he looks at it for heating in the fall. So we do have somebody that comes in and assesses our furnace.
LB reminds us, this is an important reminder for those of you who are replacing your furnace filters. There's an arrow on the furnace filter. Make sure that when you put it in, it's facing the furnace, because otherwise that furnace filter will not work the way it was designed to work.
Be going the right direction. Yeah, you want it to be trapping the dust, that's for sure.
Rochelle Thundercloud, who is an amazing member of the Under the Median family and watches us all the time, tells us to do this.
In the spring and summer, stock up on foam pool noodles.
Yep.
They're no more than $5 each, if that. And they measure across the bottom of you measure across the bottom of the door, cut a little shorter than needed, maybe an 1/8 inch, to allow the door to open normally. That gives a little bit of distance for the door to open. and you slice long ways, flatten a bit, shove under the door firmly, and boom, a budget-friendly twin draft guard is in place.
I love it. What a great idea. By the way, I have seen those pool noodles at Dollar Tree in the summertime. So, of course, now that means that they're probably $1.25 instead of $1. But Dollar Tree, look there to see if you can find those. Amber said she's in the UK and has a gas-fired central heating with radiators. This is another radiator idea. She bought an attachment for less than a tenner on Amazon and vacuumed behind and inside the rads. She said the amount of dust and hair and stuff she pulled out was absolutely phenomenal. This whole idea of making sure that area is dust and dirt and grime free so that whatever you're heating with has the best opportunity to function the way it was designed to function. Great idea.
You know why that's important? All of that stuff that she got out with the vacuum cleaner actually acts as an insulator, holding the heat into the radiator, keeping it from coming in and warming the room. So that's a great tip.
Kathy says they put cardboard over all of their north-facing windows. She doesn't do the window kits or anything else. She's like, we just cut cardboard and put it up there and make sure it stays up on the windows. And that's the way the wind blows toward their house. And it has created that extra layer of insulation and helped them to save money.
Very good.
Now, if you want a checklist, I created a checklist for you. There are just 20 ideas on the checklist, ways you can save money in every room of your home and lower your utility bills. You want that free checklist? There's a link in the description of the video. Now, if you've not watched it, the video you need to watch next is the first one that sort of spurred this idea of having our viewers send in their comments and their tips and strategies, because we gave you 25 of our own that we actually use to help lower winter heating costs. There's a link to that video right over there.